Joseph De Leon.
Peter Kovach.
Nice to meet you again.
Lovely to be here, my friend.
It's been so many years, and you know, I really wanted to grab the opportunity first time in Manila to catch you.
Welcome to your new home.
Thank you so much. It's actually a place I could imagine, you know, as my home. It's amazing. And I really wanted to grab the opportunity to, you know, record the conversation with you. And since we are just hacking the whole thing, we ended up just keep on walking and having the conversation like that.
What the heck?
What the heck? So you're the founder of Manila Angel Investors Network.
That's right.
And you're also the director of Founders Institute in the Philippines.
That's right.
And also the founder of Bullet Day, right?
Yep.
That's your relatively new gig, but also at the same time you're a mentor at several startup programs, competitions out there internationally. Tell us the details, please. You know, what else are you working on, and what should we know about these gigs?
Sure. So my name is Joseph De Leon. I wear a lot of hats, but basically I found out that my mission in life is to really help founders and businesses figure out how to become as valuable as possible without compromising their values. So at the enterprise and corporate level, I'm a partner in a boutique M&A advisory called Gravitas Prime, which I joined 10 years ago when I moved back home. But my background used to be in advertising and strategy. So I was head of strategy for a global ad agency for about 10 years out of Malaysia. And when I decided to change jobs, I had to do some regional consulting. And at some point I realized I want to come back home and be a regional strategy consultant. Then I went and told my dad, and my dad whipped out the biggest English I've ever heard him use. And he said, after I'd done and helped launch Oreos for the single women's market in China, I told him I want to help my friends do advertising and strategy across Southeast Asia. He basically said, son, I'm glad you're done gallivanting. It's time for you to join the firm. So that's how I got into M&A, through good old-fashioned nepotism.
Nice.
And after doing it for a little bit, I realized I had a good fit for the role. I got about 85% of the job, but I really didn't have an insight on what it's like to be my clients who can just like buy an entire company, because I don't have that kind of money, because I realize I'm crazier than I'm rich or Asian. But I could afford to lose some money on some startups. So that's when I helped found Manila Angel Investors Network. And I was member number 6.
Okay.
In the first deal that I syndicated, I tripled the membership. That startup totally fell apart. But the friendship stayed, and now we're the largest, most active angel network in the Philippines. From there, that opened up a lot of opportunities. I got to mentor startups all over the world, from Switzerland to Samoa, from Kazakhstan to Kuala Lumpur. A few weeks ago, I was just in Lahore, in Pakistan, mentoring startups there. And
you also have something with Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yes, that's right. I'm also one of the mentors for Start2, or the German Accelerators Network, German accelerators for Southeast Asia, to help introduce German startups into the Southeast Asia market.
Okay.
And then from there, basically, I realized that the system's broken. So I'm doing M&A on one side, startups on the other, and there's not enough deal flow. And even though there's a lot of global capital that should be coming into the country, a lot of startups aren't ready for it, right? And then on the other side of it, I got some great sustainable technologies all over the world, but they're solving the problem in Switzerland, where things are already clean, right? It doesn't do anything, right? If you want to clean up the mess, you have to be where it's messy. So they have to be here in the Philippines where it's messy.
Yeah.
So I decided to set up Bullet Day, which is my own private consulting firm, which helps bring sustainable technologies and opportunities to the Philippines and Southeast Asia. And we help local businesses and local founders restructure so they're ready to accept institutional investments from international sources. So now I have over $500 million that I want to be able to tap and bring into the country through equity and loans to help support sustainable development. And moving further back, I decided to also help
Just after you.
with Founder Institute,
Yes.
because I'm the first. I've been mentoring with them for about 10 years. I'm also the first Filipino to complete what's called the VC Lab program, which is basically the program where Founder Institute helps potential general partners set up their own VC fund. While I decided not to pursue setting up my own VC fund, I took a lot of the lessons from there and I'm using it in my own business now. So I'm now the director for Founders in Philippines. And I also help support Paul Pajo with his technical business incubator at the College of St. Benilde. So basically the system was broken and I figured the best way to change the system is to be the system. So now I help people and founders from idea at college or post-college level, at Benilde High Five, at Founder Institute, when they're trying to get from idea to becoming investable incorporated companies, and then from investable incorporated companies as their first angel investor check through Manila Angel Investors Network.
Nice.
And then helping them scale up with Bullet Day. And then when they get big enough, we can get them funding from my private equity partners from Japan, or help them do a M&A or IPO through Gravitas Prime.
Wow. And how many startups have gone through this channel? Or, I mean, it's hard to tell, I guess.
I wish I was a better mathematician. I've actually lost track.
Okay.
Manila Angel Investors has invested in a few dozen companies, deployed a few $1 million over the last 10 years. And we're continue to grow and continue to deploy more capital into Philippine Nexus startups. So even a wonderful startup from Budapest and founder from Budapest can come to the Philippines if they want to grow in Southeast Asia, and Manila Angel Investors Network.
So you are
might
the
invest in them.
launchpad practically for the region, or
That's-
one of the few.
I think the Philippines is an underrated platform for Southeast Asia for a couple of reasons. We're already a large enough market with over 120 million people. We're very well penetrated in terms of the internet and in terms of mobile, and we're English speaking. So one of the things people don't appreciate is how the Philippines is actually a very influential cultural test bed for the global markets. So we are responsible for Menudo, the original band with Ricky Martin, the Macarena, and Cambridge Analytica, because that was all test marketed in the Philippines before it became something that was critical for the world. And that's something that your startups from all over the world could be benefiting from as well, because the Philippines is incredibly connected. And so if you're able to go viral in the Philippines, there's a strong chance you can go viral worldwide.
Yeah. You know, as the co-founder of the Global Startup Awards, that's actually how we met each other back in
That's
the
right.
days in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, 2017-ish.
Yep, just a few years ago.
Yeah. Were you nominated, or some of the startups that you invested into or consulted were nominated?
Sure.
or-
So the reason that we were there is because we had the privilege of being selected as the investor of the year for the Philippines. And then because I used to live in Malaysia, I volunteered to go because I still have an apartment there. So I love the place. I miss the food, miss my friends. And then I made new friends when I was there. So it all worked out very well.
Absolutely. That's where our friendship started practically.
Yeah, so basically that year for the Global Startup Awards, my Angel Investor Network was selected as the Investor of the Year because of all our activities, and we were pumping in new capital and new support into the ecosystem that wasn't available at the time. Thankfully, the world's catching up and there's more and more people, more and more local and international investors that are supporting the local ecosystem. And we just hope that continues to grow.
Nice. Could you say a few words about, you know, your personal origin story? Like, where you come from, what's your background? I know that you actually did your studies, at least partially, in the US.
Sure.
Tell a few things about that, please.
I mean, if you want to go way back,
Yeah,
right?
centuries.
Centuries. So, about 100 years ago, my family used to own the largest mango orchard in the country. But because of the Japanese, you want to go that far back, we couldn't hold on to it. My father went from the mailroom to the boardroom of the third largest food company in the Philippines. And when I finished college, I got to work in the largest food company in the Philippines. But after a few years, that company was taken over by by, at the time, a Marcus crony, and I said I don't want to work for them, so I quit. And because I wanted to be a CEO, my game plan was, why don't I take my master's in finance and then do my MBA and then do something from an operations perspective, so I'm a well-rounded CEO of Coca-Cola at some point.
Yeah.
I went to the University of the Philippines and I studied Masters of Finance. At the end of the first semester, I was the class president. I was number one in the strategy class. I was number one in the marketing class. But for all the finance actual classes, I was like dead center, right? Dead median. And so I realized, you know what? I should play to my strengths and just do my MBA focusing on marketing and strategy. And when I grow up and become the CEO, I'll just hire someone else to be the CFO, right? But you know, karma is karma. 17 years after that, I ended up doing M&A and I had to look at spreadsheets all day as part of my job.
Yeah.
Went to the US, did my MBA. I thought I'd become CEO of Coca-Cola right after graduation. But apparently, they don't give you that job right after graduating from Goizueta University in Emory. You apparently have to be a little bit older and a little bit whiter. It was 9/11, I couldn't find a job. Being Asian, I figured, what do I need to do? I need to go study some more. So I got a Six Sigma black belt. I helped this company called Cox Communications figuring out how to optimize their call centers. Then after that, I did nonprofit consulting for a number of great institutions in Atlanta, including Atlanta Children's Shelter and a few others. And what I found out was that nonprofit consulting is beautiful and great for the soul, but it is shit for paying rent.
Yes, of course.
So I had to leave the country because my visa ran out, my money ran out. And the job that I ended up taking was based in Malaysia, where I was insourced as head of strategy for an ad agency. Because I always saw myself as a blue sky consultant, and I wanted to be like the McKinsey wherever I went.
What does it mean, blue sky consultant?
And so basically, that's the high level strat consulting, McKinsey, Bain, BCG. So even though I was positioned as someone that worked in an ad agency, that's not how I saw the job. And so when I was dealing with the CEO of the biggest telcos in Malaysia, that's not how I approached it. I approached it as their key strategy consultant. And after doing it for a few years, they actually started believing me, and I started having like regular meetings with the CEO of the top telcos and helping them figure out how they could gain market share, win new markets. And they actually paid attention to me. And then eventually when some of these telcos had to go through some equity exercises and considered doing a stock delisting, and they actually needed McKinsey to do that, guess who got to brief the McKinsey guys? It was me. Because outside of the C-level executives, I was the one human being in the entire world who knew their entire business better than anyone else in that company. So I was very privileged to have that trust to understand what's going on in their business and hopefully give them some insight on what they needed to do to make their next big corporate moves.
I see.
So I got to do that for 10 years, and then I woke up one day and said, oh my gosh, I can't stay here too long because I'll end up falling in love with a Muslim woman and giving my mom a heart attack because I can't convert. And so I resigned. And then on the day I resigned, my CEO asked, do I have a job waiting for me? I said, no. And so he said, oh, in that case, you want to do a regional project. So more money, less work, more travel. Seemed like a damn good idea.
Yeah.
So I said yes. And so I had the privilege of helping Mondelez do their international marketing strategy for all their products, all their markets over a 6-month period. And then after I did that, I was ready to enjoy my midlife crisis properly, spend some time in Cambodia, learn how to ride a motorcycle, you know, do all that good stuff. But then I got a call from my boss in New York, the chief strategy officer of FCB Global, called me up at 6 in the morning in Manila time. And basically she told me, Joseph, remember when we told Oreo that the Chinese moms from Shanghai to Singapore don't like buying Oreos for their kids because they never grew up with it, they don't know the brand, it makes their kids' teeth black, and the worst thing of all, it's mafan, it's messy. And we basically told them they have to go make a whole new product for the single women of China because the old product's not gonna work. Well, hold your milk, they made Oreo Thins.
Okay.
And since it's kind of your fault, you wanna go to China for 2 weeks and help launch the product. So I ended up living in China for 6 months because
Wow.
nothing ever goes according to plan.
Nice.
My contribution was that I thought that they should have Sex in the City flavors because that would be appropriate for that target audience. I went to China. I told my creative team that it's going to be Sex in the City flavored theme, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And then my translator said, "Oh, we don't have Sex in the City in China." So I was like, okay. So I went to the hotel that night, learned how to use a VPN for the first time, and then I found out that the local equivalent of Sex and the City is a show called Tiny Times. I go back the next day and I tell them, "Hey guys, our theme will be Tiny Times." And they go, "Oh, thank God." Then an old creative guy goes up to me and says, "Joseph, so glad. We thought you were pervert." Because they didn't know Sex and the City was a TV show.
Yeah.
They thought I was just a dirty old sexpat trying to promote, porn in Shanghai. So thankfully we were able to clear that up, and we had a successful launch, and Oreo Thins has become a small part in the larger Oreo portfolio.
Okay, that's cool. And how do you see your future or the ecosystem's future? You already mentioned a few things, of course, especially about the strengths, that side of the things. But how do you see the future for the ecosystem in the Philippines and in Southeast Asia as such?
So I think Southeast Asia and its growth in the market is actually quite inevitable. It doesn't look like that right now because so much attention is always still in the Silicon Valley and in the Western markets. But the fact of the matter is, the Southeast Asia market is one of the few markets in the world that's still continuing to grow. There's so much development that's happening across different areas, from a digital perspective, from a sustainability perspective, from a B2B perspective of pulling businesses from the dark ages into
And
the
also
21st
population
century.
is growing all across the region,
Our population's still growing. It's young, it's sexy, it's smart, and international attention is really just starting to come into the market. That being said, it's not that it's a yellow brick road. There's a lot of stumbling blocks along the way
And problems to solve.
and problems to solve. But if it was easy, then everybody would be doing it,
Absolutely.
right? I think one of the key challenges in the region right now is, of course, the whole issues of integrity and corruption,
Yeah.
and the political turmoil that's happening that we can't close our eyes from. It's happening in Indonesia, Nepal, and other parts of the region, right? But thankfully, the Philippines, while that's a part of it,
Yeah.
the way that we're dealing with it is objectively much more peaceful, and running much more smoothly than it is in other markets. And so, surprisingly, from a disruption standpoint, the Philippine market is encountering a very smooth, albeit painful, evolution to hopefully becoming more transparent, more world-class, and more ready to accept international and global partnerships.
And what's your message to Europe? I mean, mostly this video will be watched by people in Europe, in startup ecosystems. What would be your message to them or to us?
So my message is very simple. If you want to enjoy unparalleled growth, then the simplest, fastest way for you to do that is to find strategic partners. Not necessarily myself, but I'd be happy to help you, and build a parallel organization in the fastest growing segment of the world, in Southeast Asia, right? And we can help you find the right customers, investors, distributors, and partners so that you can actually enjoy part of that growth early while focusing on your home market. You don't have to do it by yourself, right? But there's just so much opportunity. It's a shame if you just miss out.
Yeah. And last question.
Sure.
What's your vision for yourself? How do you see your next 5 to 10, whatever years?
That's a great question. I think at the end of the day, if I'm able to look back and see that I played a small part in helping the country get better, helping at least one startup achieve becoming a unicorn, then I think that would be a time well spent. So I think one of the challenges that's facing the Philippines and other developing markets isn't an actual economic barrier. I think it's a psychological narrative one. So when you think about Europe, right? The story you tell yourselves as Europeans is that you're explorers. When you think of Americans, they see themselves as entrepreneurs. Filipinos, unfortunately, because of cultural conditioning and brainwashing, we've nurtured a culture of seeing ourselves as martyrs, self-sacrificing heroes.
Yeah.
Which is noble, but it's not where we belong in the world.
But is it not changing with new generations?
And that's what I'm hoping, right? That we can accelerate and change the narrative. So instead of seeing Filipinos seeing themselves as self-sacrificing martyrs.
Too much humbleness.
Correct.
That's how I define it.
Amen, right? Hopefully we start seeing ourselves as creative catalysts, right? And people that are able to do it with heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we as Filipinos are able to bring to the world, our creativity and our love.
Yes.
Because I think we might not be that tall, but we have very big hearts.
I'm having a good time here for a good reason, right?
Yeah.
By the way, you know, this is one of the very, very few places in the world. I have been to quite a few.
Yeah,
where
this
I
world
just go
startups.
out to the pool and people come to me and start talking to me. You know, I mean, I love it.
It's because you're a handsome man. Go ahead.
Of course, but still, you know, I mean, the openness of people towards strangers is really unique.
Yeah.
They are not looking at me like a strange someone coming from somewhere, but they are curious, they ask questions, you know, like regular people. And it's really something unique. I don't really experience it anywhere else.
Well,
That level of openness, you know.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm looking forward to coming back, my friend.
Thank you so much for your time. It's a great pleasure, just like always.
Always.
Thank you.